Greetings, guys. Today we'll be discussing close corporation. Close corporation is a company which was introduced in the Act of 1971, but it was again deregistered in the Companies Act of 2008. On my right hand side, I'll have Pezis and Chilaj who will be discussing what the factors why close corporations should be brought back, and on this side we have Mama and Sikilin who will be discussing why close corporation should be deregistered as it is now. Firstly, before they go to the discussion, I'll like to introduce some few topics about close corporation so that you can have a full idea of what I'm speaking of. Close corporation is a company which you usually see with a CCC at the end of its company. It's a profit company which falls under the profit company. It's also a legal person. Close corporation also has freely transferable, it has no freely transferable shares, which means the shares cannot be freely transferable to another person. So, enough said. I don't want to say anything further. I would like my panel to discuss it more further.
Hey guys, I disagree with close corporation being closed down. I disagree. First of all, close corporation has a perpetual succession. It means that even if there's a change in membership, it continues to exist. If a member dies, it still exists. If one member sells its shares, it still exists. So it has continued succession. So to me, it should not be.
I disagree to what you were saying, because if there's a change in the membership of a close corporation, that is going to affect the board of directors as well, and it's going to disturb the operation of the business.
Even though it may disturb the operations, but at the same time it's still functioning, and when it's functioning, it's making money. So
like she said, in any other companies there can be any disturbance in a company, because remember, in a company as well, another shareholder can die, or anything can happen to one of the shareholders. Now this disturbance you're talking about in a close corporation, if that can happen, the directors that are left, or members that are left in a close corporation, can still decide and run the company. That can still be profitable in a close corporation.
Also, the members of the close corporation act as the agent of the company, and then they can bound the company if they act carelessly.
Yes, the members of the close corporation do act as an agent of the company. To me, an agent of a company is like the person who, like a board of director. So, who's better than a member, which is a shareholder, and be a board of director as well? Because you will know that if I do this, I run a risk of losing money. So you as the agent and the shareholder, that means you're going to be in your full capacity to make sure that things go right. So to me, it's not a bad thing.
Oh, let's talk about the close corporation being in a relaxed disclosure. Remember, a close corporation is not compulsory to being audited. The close corporation may be audited, but it is also subjected to independent review.
I feel like companies are forced to have annual audits. If a closed corporation wants to act as a company, then it should be audited annually.
I'm meaning by independent review. The closed corporation doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be audited. It is audited, but it can act as being independent on that auditing. It doesn't have to report annually like the company does. But at the end of the year, each of the year, it reports to the commissioner. That means it still does the procedures that the company does, but it does it on its own, inside of the company. It doesn't have to be exposed to the other companies.
It is not possible to sell a closed corporation.
No. A closed corporation can be sold, but before you sell it, you have to convert it into a company first. It is doable.
But that is going to take time.
It may take time.
It may take time, but during that time of a closed corporation deciding on selling on converting it into a company, it can still be running as a business and it can still be making profit. That time is not a wasted time, if it's making a profit still. So it's not a wasted time for a closed corporation. That is still a difference.
And you must also remember the main point of a business, whether it's a closed corporation, whether it's a company, a partnership, the main point is to make a profit. So if it's operating, then you're making a profit. And even though it's in a process of being sold, you're still making a profit even though it's in process. It does not mean when you're in process of converting into a company, the closed corporation shuts down, it's not operational anymore. It's still operational, but it's the documents that needs to be amended into a company. Everything still runs smooth as if it's operational.
But what are you saying about the fact that in a closed corporation, in order for them to make like major decisions, only members with 75% voting rights are able to do that? Don't you think that's pretty unfair?
To me, it's not unfair.
What makes it not unfair?
Because at 75% of the members.
Why can't it be 50%?
Listen here. This thing says for closed corporation to make decisions, there must be 75% of
What does the company say?
Membership available.
What does the company say?
Listen, they must be available. Okay, say we want to make a decision, and you as one of our members of a closed corporation, you're not in the country. So do you mean that we have to wait for you?
Yes,
No.
I'm part of the business.
But
No, remember, in order sometimes to have a meeting, I may not be present, but we can have a meeting electronically. There's Skype. That's allowed, isn't it?
exactly. And
So what are you saying?
and you being
I'm talking about decisions. That's 75%. Why can I not make a decision with my 50%
Listen,
contribution?
you remember the point.
I am
You're missing the
listening.
point.
I am
There
listening.
are three types of being in a meeting. You can be in a meeting like
In person.
In person. I know that.
You can be in a meeting electronically.
And by proxy.
Yes.
Exactly. So that 75% covers you being electronically as well.
I'm talking about the voting rights.
Hello?
The voting rights.
75% of the membership must be there. Out of the 75% is actually a quorum for the meeting to convene.
But remember,
I still
if you
disagree.
enter into a closed corporation, you first want to see all those rules, and you must agree on their rules and regulations. Now, if you agree into being on a closed corporation, that means you agree onto that 75%. So if you open the company as a closed corporation, you cannot just say no. What about this 75% of voting and all that? You agree to that, knowing that this must be happening on the closed
You have a
corporation.
point there, but there's rules. But what's confusing about a closed corporation, 1 minute it wants to operate like a sole trader, 1 minute it wants to operate like a partnership. So which rules am I going to open? Am I going to all the rules?
That's why the closed
Make
corporation
a
is standing
decision.
on. No.
Where do you want to be?
Now, if you don't know where do you want to be, that means you can still be a closed corporation. Upon deciding if you want to be a company
not
or a sole
understanding
trader.
Let me jump straight to your question. Okay? A closed corporation is regarded as a stepping stone, like a learning curve.
Yes.
So I open a closed corporation. I see how the business runs. Okay. In business, you do this, you don't do this, and this, and this, and this. To us, closed corporation, we're regarded as a learning curve. So when you fully know what's going on, then you can go and open your partnership. You can go and open a company. You can go and open a closed corporation, a sole trader. We regard it as a learning curve.
Why wouldn't you first actually go open a sole trader before you want to go to a sole, like a closed corporation? Why would you want to put other members at risk with you knowing nothing? Why don't you first go learn as a sole trader? That's why I totally disagree with a closed corporation.
But what is better of learning alone or learning with the people that know something?
What about the high risk? Because
What
you
about the
go-
high risk of being a
you
sole
go
trader?
and
Because you
open
run
a
it
sole
alone.
trader.
But being with the other members, you can actually learn something from the other members.
Don't forget the fact that you must be a national person to become the member of the closed corporation.
Yes, you must become one. We're not forgetting that. But you must remember, when you're opening a closed corporation, you are learning. So you go straight up, you open a company. Lack of experience, lack of skill. When that company fails, it means that you are liable 100%.
How many businesses, small businesses start with knowing nothing?
They clearly start as closed corporations.
No. They start as sole traders, really.
Listen, in sole trader, you bear the risk 100%.
Exactly. Then
No, what
let
about
alone
better?
before you put everyone else with your
better
Listen to
let
this.
people. that
Listen to this one.
independent.
What if you have a starting capital but you don't have the skills and knowledge to do
You
it?
look for
Now
funding.
how? But you have capital.
But don't forget, at the same time,
Did
a
you see that
closed
it's an advantage
corporation-
to open that?
At the same time, in a closed corporation, you can also open a closed corporation alone, as a learning curve alone.
That's why I'm saying
one
a
to
closed
10.
corporation
And
is
that-
not consistent.
If
It
there is
lacks
a limitation in the
consistency.
number of the members involved, and that is gonna like it's gonna impact the expansion and the growth of the business because there's a limitation that no members can be part of the closed corporation, like extended limitation of 10 members.
No, I think that for me that's good. I'm gonna say why. Sometimes it's chaotic. You have like in public companies first there was a rule of like 0 to 50 members, but now it's a 1 to infinity, which means there can be 100 shareholders. That's not easy to govern, guys. But when you're 10 people sitting like this, it's easy to come to a decision.
It is easy because there is
attainable.
board of directors, there is a CC, there is like chief executive company, like
But in
they
companies,
manage the company.
you first have to call a meeting 100 people, 100 people, oh 200 people.
That's why rules are meant to be changed. You said before there were 1 to 50 members, right? That's why we agree that it should be changed in the Companies Act. It should be removed. A closed corporation should be removed.
Listen, it was 0 to 50 to me. That was better than now because now it's like 0 to however members. That's not easy. That's not even easy to take it. It's not easy to form a meeting as well. Chaotic, a boardroom full of people. You have to count. I disagree with it closed down because it makes sense. People are protecting their interests. They are board members, and at the same time, they are members. So you know you are directly involved. Whereas in a company, there's a shareholder, and then there's a board of directors. A board of directors does not own shares in the company. And should they make a mistake, the shareholders, it will affect the shareholders' dividends, not their salary.
What are you saying about the liability?
Yeah, the liability,
Liabilities incurred by the CCI are on its own. Members are not liable towards the creditors for payment of the outstanding debts of the companies. Now, say if the company collapses, the members are not liable for that, but the creditors must claim to the company.
But in a closed corporation, a member can be held liable if they act carelessly or recklessly.
Yes, that's a condition. I feel like it's a perfectly good condition because if you as a member, you act recklessly, you're doing fraud, then you must be held liable.
Because
What if the
the
member
company,
acted within the scope of the business?
That's why there are courts to determine that. There are courts to say, okay, we are suing all these members. And then it's there in the court of law that it will prove that it's only this member who acted recklessly or it's all the members. If it's all the members, then all the members are equally liable. They are severally and personally liable. But if it's one member, that member is liable alone, even though it's within the scope of the business. Yes, the creditor is going to sue the whole closed corporation, but there are courts to defend that.
Okay, guys, okay, thank you guys for the discussion. I've also learned new things which I didn't know while actually in the closed corporation before. Things such as purposeful sanction, the change of operation. Whenever there's a change of directors, there's a change of operations. But for me, the things which I've understood is that first and foremost, that as you said before, that whenever there's a change of directors, then the operation becomes affected. And you also put in a fact there which you said, even if there's a change of directors and the operation changes, we're still making profit. That was also another point which I thought. The other point which was, for me, which was also important, the part of not compulsory auditing. For me, I feel that that's a huge disadvantage, looking at the fact that if a company is not audited, there's a lot of fraudulence which can happen, which can take place. That's also a disadvantage which I also saw. The other disadvantage for me, which you put it, was the 75% voting rights. For me, I feel like it should be 50 plus 1, which I do not make the laws, but that's what the law said, 75 plus 1. So for me, guys, the discussions you put was the facts you put was so good and it was so top notch. And I also want to open now a CCC. I feel like opening a CCC. Okay, guys, I think that's enough. We're going to say bye bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Love and leave you.